Hello and welcome back to Shifting Overthinking to Marketing Movement, a limited audio series for creative, equity-led solopreneurs with a story and expertise to share. This is meant to get you out of your own head, to find clarity and direction, to find sustainable marketing processes that fit your body, brain, and capacity. One thing that I'm going to add that I probably should have discussed last episode is that series will include mentions of my Done With You offer, Storyspark Connection, when it is relevant, and there will be a bigger mention / pitch of it at the very end of the series. I wanted to be upfront about that, but also let me assure you, anything that I build, including the series, is meant to be valuable enough that it's going to give you some sort of result, whether or not we choose to work together or you have that type of capacity right now. And that's really not to mention the fact that my Discord community, Storyspark Lounge, which I will plug later in the episode again, it's currently free and it's active for those who aren't ready yet to work together, but you still want that continued support after we work through the series. As we talk about sales later in the series, my goal is to kind of walk the talk and show that there are ways that it can be clear to show folks the next steps of working together without it feeling pushy, and you have content that is deep and valuable and relevant enough that you've kind of feel confident that you've earned the right to kind of make that ask. This episode is about defining overthinking and, why we do it. And I'm not going to be boring and pull out a dictionary because we don't really need that. But I think we all probably think of overthinking and approach it differently. And I thought that it was important for us to start from a shared definition of the concept that we can operate from through the series, and especially specifically talking about like the businesses and marketing of where this comes up, because of course you can overthink in your personal life as well. So here's my simple definition. Business overthinking is the fear and the anxiety around either committing to a strategy or making decisions that will be subject to public perception or scrutiny, all of which typically results in some sort of inertia or stillness in your marketing and sales. But this is not to say that stillness is always bad. We'll discuss natural cycles of growth and rest in a later episode. But to me, it's more about holding yourself back from committing to a project, to publishing, to putting yourself out there. Meaning that the desire's there, the capacity's there, maybe the content's even there, but you're just having some sort of fear, anxiety around going that next step and letting other people view it and take it in or making a decision. There are, many different ways that this shows up, right? Another common one that I've personally experienced off and on for years is that this idea that I have to have this signature productized flagship offer that will just solve all of my capacity and my cash flow issues. And you can probably imagine there is no like one right, correct offer for me, necessarily. It stopped me from marketing myself because until I had a perfect offer, well, why should I market? I don't have a perfect offer yet. So that really had me stuck for a long time. For you, it could be maybe pitching for visibility. It could be maybe you're sitting on an idea for a podcast that you've had for years. Maybe stopping and starting writing a book for months or even longer. Maybe it's waiting or procrastinating on like hiring some help. Or, in the tech side of things, it may be holding off on choosing a course or membership platform for a new offer. Or, maybe it can be thinking you need to have a new certification before deciding to raise your prices. So again, defining this for ourselves is important. So for the first action step, because we'll have one for this section, then we'll have one for the why we do it section. I'll go into both again at the end if you'd like me to, but otherwise you can pause it after I say this. But the action step is really, how does this show up for you personally? You're probably here because there's something that has specifically come up or you thought about when you went to listen to the series. So feel free to pause it and free write for, at least 10 minutes. Depends on, I think everyone has a different time frame that would work for them. But think through all of the ways that this fear or worry about how you're going to be perceived, how you're going to be rejected, how it comes up in your business, and then also when you are promoting it or sharing it with others. So I'll give you all a second to kind of start to work on that. But overthinking, I think we have a understanding that it is not helpful. So it's like, okay, well, why do we do it? What is that psychology behind overthinking? And first, I'll put up just a quick disclaimer that, I'm not a therapist. And this section is meant to be more about just like generalizations and observations with myself and business colleagues and clients, my community. It's not meant to diagnose, and that overthinking, if it's severe enough, it may be helpful to process with a trained professional. I definitely know that I've done some work with some practitioners on addressing this. I want to address the systemic and the cultural factors right out of the gate, because I do worry sometimes about addressing overthinking, that it can feel like we're blaming an individual for a toxic culture that we all have internalized. So this is not meant to shame you, because for one, that doesn't actually fix anything, and it doesn't help us feel empowered to move forward. So, there's no point to doing that. Culturally and in the online entrepreneur space, there are so many factors that can add to this cycle of overthinking. One of the people in my community, shout out to Bree Hamilton, she does religious trauma recovery therapy, not therapy, but she's a coach, and has, said something that really stuck out to me this week. She was saying that people who've had that fundamentalist religion or cult-like or what that very deep religious conditioning in their childhoods have been told that their decisions have eternal consequences. And so even when you try to deconstruct or you move away from that type of thought process, that can still have this lingering issues that are in your subconscious, that I have to make the right decision because this consequence will follow me forever. And, even without the religious undertones, we see it culturally as well. As a millennial, I was told like the only way that I could be happy as an adult was, go to college, check that box, get married, have children, do this, make enough money to do this. And so like, even without that, there's the secular kind of like, there is a one way to live your life and this is the right way to do it. Culturally, we're also told it's all or nothing. You're either successful right away or any sign of failure shows that you're just not cut out for this. It's you who needs to change to fit the mold. Like why try, it's the idea of like picking up a hobby, and it's like, why even try to do a hobby if you're not going to be instantly amazing at it? This all or nothing. And it's not you. It is definitely something that is just in the air that we breathe and the water that we're swimming in. And as a non-binary person, I often try to use my own identity as a way to push back of like, there's always a third option. There's always something in the middle. Like there's never just one or two ways to do something. There is multiple that we're maybe just not seeing. Online entrepreneurs, we also face like a similar type of this capitalist programming. Coaches, marketers are telling you that you must do this specific type of reel to get clients. You have to build a YouTube channel. You have to use AI to clone you, or steal my system on how I get clients, or here are the exact steps to build a 6-figure launch. Whether people are intending to do that or not, it's implying to our subconscious that there is a one right way to be successful as an entrepreneur, and that it is up for us to discern which one way or one system that is. People benefit from selling that idea to you. But again, because it's cultural, I don't think we fully are always aware that that's what's happening. Or we may be like, it may go deeper than we're consciously aware of. So what that means is for people like us, entrepreneurs like us, business owners like us, when capacity is at a minimum, we still have to pay our bills. A lot of mental and creative energy goes to that mental labor of, am I making the right decision? I have to have it all figured out. If I don't have it all figured out, I won't be able to put food on the table for my kids. And so it's really, given these circumstances, it's really no wonder that so many of us, we're overthinking, and we're under implementing. On like a more personal note, moving away from the cultural side of things, there is imposter syndrome. There is self-doubt. There's a fear of rejection. There's also these questions of, who am I to be the one to say this? Or somebody else must have surely had a similar thought that has more of an audience than me. What if I spent all my time creating this thing, this offer, this market, this podcast, this, video, and nobody looks at it? With an offer that we've built that may have taken us hours of recording and may have taken a lot of designing. This is really a serious blow for us who are like chronically ill or disabled or other type of low capacity people, because there's so many different ways we could have used that time and energy differently. It may have put us into burnout, for all we know. When I post on social media, sometimes I feel like I can't really win, right? I feel dejected when no one views a reel that I maybe spent a lot of time working on. But also then something will blow up potentially, and then I'm like, oh, I am being perceived now. I don't like this, or I worry that my, content will be taken differently than I meant it. One thing I will add is there's a good resource that I really have enjoyed. In fact, I should probably go back and reread that has to do with this. And it's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And it expands on this concept of capital R resistant, which I feel is interconnected with overthinking and, this idea of holding ourselves back from what we want to accomplish. But just to reiterate one final time, there is nothing wrong with you if you're in this cycle or if you're struggling with that overthinking and not taking concrete actions. We live in a world that kind of rewards that, because if it's not perfect, which it never will be perfect the first time around, it's not worth doing. And that is not true. We just have to kind of wonder who is benefiting from us stuck in this overthinking, perfect decision, all or nothing mindset. The call to action for this section is, so I'm recording this right now. It is April 2026. I recently did my quarterly planning. Maybe I don't plan to do this, but maybe later as a bonus further down the line, I will break down the whole quarterly planning process via audio. But I have a point in that process where I'm transitioning away from reviewing what worked and what didn't in the previous quarter. And now I'm planning the new one. And the big piece of that helps me to focus is deciding on a quarterly theme. So it is a statement that's meant to help me kind of focus my energy and my attention. Because of course, if we just talked a little bit about this already, when I get ill or I have a chronic flare or something is going on with my son and I inevitably have to change my plans, right? We always have to, at least at some point. I have this theme that brings me back to center. It gives me the balance of structure and flexibility that we've talked about in the last episode, and we will continue to talk about throughout the series. So this is usually a short statement. So fittingly for this series, my current quarterly theme is momentum means imperfect action. So my action step here sounds probably pretty obvious. No matter where in the quarter or year you are when you are listening to this, the action step is to choose a theme for your current stage of your creative business, or as you move through the series. You can pick one similar to mine. You can, remind yourself how what you have to share is inspiring and fortifying to the people you're meant to serve. So focusing more on the other people in your life that benefit from you taking action. One of my current sub-themes is, because I also have sub-themes, I like this idea, obviously, because it's better than goals, in my opinion, is having sub-themes. This one is finish what you started. You can also, those are usually four words. I feel like shorter the better tends to work out. But you can make it longer and make it more of like an affirmational statement if that's what you want. Either way, I do find that it's best that to have it displayed in places that you're going to see it, over my calendar, like on my project management system, like above my computer monitor, places like that. So to kind of keep you a little bit accountable here, feel free to share your theme in the dedicated Shifting Overthinking channel in the Storyspark Lounge Discord community. If you have not joined us, you can find that over at maxwildstories.com/community. I did not say this in the intro, but Max Wild Stories is MAXWILDE Stories. So there is an E at the end of wild. Not everybody gets that. But I thank you all for joining me for this episode. Make meaningful progress in your business by shifting out of overthinking, clarifying your priorities that match your capacity and values to move forward in your marketing. I will see you in the next one.